All right, we're going to go ahead and officially get started. I hope you guys are on the right track. So this is Successful Strategies for Massive Productivity. I am very fortunate to have 4 icon agents to be on the panel with us here today. Let's see, I don't see William up here yet, but we'll introduce him when he comes. But Conda Davidson, a dear friend of mine, comes from Missouri. She's absolutely a phenomenal agent and will bring a lot of expertise to the table. William Mahan, who will be joining us, he's from Oklahoma City. He was a top Keller Williams agent, joined us a few years ago. Mark Metcalf, if you guys haven't met him yet, I see Emily, his wife, in the crowd. Absolutely phenomenal. Also the state broker for Mississippi. That's right, Mississippi, not Missouri. I think the original graphic said Missouri. And then Danielle, she's in North Carolina. Danielle, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you recently got icon status, which is super, super exciting. Just a few housekeeping notes. Please feel free. I'll try to track the chat box. I have a list of questions that we came up with before the class today, but we will have time at the end. This is going to be an hour-long session. I do promise we'll have time for questions and answers at the end of this. Otherwise, we want to be fair to all of the panelists today, make sure they have an opportunity to each answer. And so unless you are speaking, please make sure that your microphone is muted. William just messaged me. He is working on logging in right now. So I'm really excited to kick this off. I think we're going to have a broad range of different experiences today. And as you know, there's not a one size fits all in real estate. So, this panel is going to come from completely different backgrounds, different perspectives of the business. And more so is why I'm excited to hear everyone speak. So we'll just kind of get started here. To my left. Mark, do you mind doing just a brief introduction about yourself, where you live, how long you've been in real estate, and how long you've been with EXP?
Absolutely. My name is Mark Metcalf. I'm an agent and I'm the broker for Mississippi. My wife is in the audience today, Emily. She's also an agent on our team. And I started in real estate 7 years ago, joined EXP 3 years ago. In fact, I think today is the 3-year anniversary of us getting a license for Mississippi for EXP. So it's been an exciting journey. Hit icon every year since, and have loved our experience with EXP. Micah is my sponsor, so I have a great sponsor and network there as well.
And congratulations on 3 years. That's a big deal. That's pretty exciting.
It's been very exciting.
Awesome. Conda, if you don't mind going next, same thing, just name, state, a little bit of information about you, also how long you've been in real estate and with EXP.
Conda Davidson, Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, famously known for the series Ozark. In case none of you have watched it, it's nothing like the series, so don't judge us by that. I've been in real estate 20 years. We're a resort community, largest man-made lake in the United States. So we have a lot of visitors from all over the United States. We have a ton of people moving here right now. I've been in real estate for 20 years. Me and my 2 partners moved our private brokerage over in 2017, and it was the best decision we ever made. You can just focus on your business. I have steadily, was doing probably 12 to 15 million in volume when we moved it over. This year we're probably going to hit 40, and it's just me and my husband, and we have an assistant that's awesome, that's licensed. So we absolutely love EXP. We love all the tools and the collaboration and how everyone is willing to help.
I love that. And by the way, I watched a portion of the Ozark series. It was great. It's kind of like, I'm from Oklahoma, right? And comparing Oklahoma to Twister. You guys, if you've never been to the Lake of the Ozarks, I had a pleasure of going up and meeting these guys a few years ago. Is absolutely a phenomenal place. They have an amazing operation up there. And one thing that we'll highlight a little bit later on, but Mark and Conda both actually still operate their offices in their locations as well. All right, I'll go over here, Danielle.
Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle. I am in North Carolina in the Fort Bragg area. I am a wife and a mom of 4 boys. They're 11, 8, and twins are 5. So they keep me extremely busy. So I'll talk all about work-life balance in a bit. But I've had my license for 6 years and I've been with EXP for 1 year. I just had my year anniversary. So I hit icon and then my year restarted in November. So I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely phenomenal. You've done a fantastic job. Just kind of seeing your growth with the XP has been absolutely amazing. So, Danielle, you actually, if you don't mind kicking off the first question, somebody had put in the text chat work-life balance. You mentioned being a mom. So, is there a such thing as work-life balance in real estate? Danielle, if you don't mind taking that, and we'll just continue to go down the line.
Definitely. So, all my kids are in school, of course, this year when coronavirus came and public school isn't in session. So, my first year of having all my kids finally in school turned into me putting them all in private school, which was obviously a big investment, but I've been blessed with my real estate career to able to take that on. So, I would say, since I've had my license for 6 years, the biggest feedback I can give you is to basically set your schedule, put your family in your schedule, put your children's events in your schedule, and stick to it. I was with Keller Williams before I came to EXP, and I still capped every year and was considered the top 10%, and I only worked 2 days a week. I was home with my twins. I chose to be home with them rather than putting them in daycare. And I was still able to come out on top because I was very diligent with my time and my schedule.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And one of the things that I always heard from Tony Robbins is that time is merely an excuse. Some of us leverage it better than others. So you talked about being in the top 10% and only working 2 days a week. That's pretty incredible. You definitely were pretty remarkable at managing your time. Conda, do you mind taking that next? And then we'll go to Mark.
Well, mine has kind of changed as several of your agents. As you age in the real estate industry, it kind of takes a toll on you if you're a high producing agent. And I was diagnosed last year with an autoimmune disease so I've had to dive into a different, I was kind of forced into it, and I'm trying to encourage people now to change your life before your life changes you. So my autoimmune disease is, it's caused by inflammation, which inflammation is caused by stress. That's the number one. And, we all know that agents are some of the most stressed out and high-keyed people on the earth. So I have really dove into taking time for myself, and I do a lot of meditation now. And I think in these stressful times, especially that we're dealing with now, it's bad enough when you're not dealing with all this overload of stress, but just dealing with the stressful situations that we have to deal with. To start your day, people say, I just don't have time. I don't have time. I encourage you and encourage you to take the time to find a meditation that you like. If you want some that I do, I would be happy to share them. I'm having tremendous results from it. I've actually don't have any new lesions, and my active lesions are no longer active, which my doctor says, I go to a functional doctor, and he says it's all because of diet and the meditation I'm doing. So I would just encourage you to take time for yourself. And I can't even imagine having 4 boys and having any time for yourself. But I think it would be even more important to get yourself right in the mornings before you start your day.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm glad to hear that definitely the autoimmune, I know that's definitely a serious disease, if you will. And I'm certainly glad that that's getting under control. Mark, you're up next.
Absolutely. I think we're in the best career there is for work-life balance. And unfortunately, a lot of agents miss it. There's really very few things that we put on our calendar that we can't choose when to do that. A listing appointment. We don't let the client, you don't have to let the client dictate that, a buyer's schedule, or whatever it is you're doing, lead generation. These things can be done in the morning, the evening, the afternoon. They can be done on the weekends or the weekdays. So as I was looking at real estate 7 years ago, that's why I wanted to do it, was that I would have the ability to create the schedule I wanted. I could scale it up or scale it back. I did get in my first year, I got too busy and didn't understand leverage, didn't understand how to hire someone to help me, which was scary because I was faced with the decision to hire someone, and what I needed to pay them was about equivalent to what I was paid the year before I got into real estate. It's scary to commit to something like that. But if you learn at any level of business, and in fact, the bigger your business gets, the better your schedule can be, to be quite frank. So we're in the best career. If you don't see that, if you're stressed, if you don't get it, we've got incredible resources, coaches, and training to help you get there.
That's awesome. And thank you, Mark. I love your mindset on that, that we're in one of the best careers to have that work-life balance. So Conda actually kind of alluded to this already, but Mark, if we'll start with you, we want to talk about what is your daily routine? So obviously the subject of today is massive productivity, but we've already talked about work-life balance. What is it that you do consistently every single day to maintain that production, maintain that status? And as you guys have all mentioned here, not overwork yourselves. Mark, if you don't mind starting for us.
All right. So the biggest thing for me is to create a balance and to create a schedule. I figured out how to create a business that doesn't require lead generation. And I know that's crazy, and I know that that's blasphemy in some circles. But I've had a very successful career without having to time block hours and hours to make cold calls or whatever. So we'll get into a little bit of that later. But I mean, my schedule right now, I do go to the office every day on the weekdays. Of course, I'm the state broker as well. We have a fairly small state, so it's still manageable to operate the state and then I'll operate the team. And of course, I've got administrative help on my team, which helps me with the administrative needs of the state as well. So it's kind of this nice balance there. But my schedule looks a lot different than an average agent running a state and having a team and whatnot. But to anything that I have in my schedule is that I've been able to create referral business, create a brand that people call me. So most of the business I get is incoming business that are people who are reaching out to me asking for my help, which creates an incredible schedule and an incredible opportunity in real estate.
Awesome. Conda, you're next. What is it that you do consistently every single day in your daily schedule?
Well, as I mentioned, the first thing I do when I wake up is I do the meditation, and then I'm a big calendar. I have a calendar in my phone that we actually keep everything in. Me and my husband and my assistant are all on the same calendar. So, with having, I think I did the spreadsheet right before we came on here just to see, how many transactions we had done and what the source of those were, so I would know. I thought I knew in my mind, and it was accurate. About 99% of our business is repeat business and referrals from those clients. So, unfortunately for the new agents, you have to start somewhere. And in the beginning, we used a lead generation system, and I would do the same type of system with time blocking at that time. So I would spend, I would reach out to those leads very, very quickly when they registered on the site. And follow up with them, and those are the people that now are my clients that are repeat business and refer business to me. So I would just encourage you to have a system in place that you can keep everything that's going on in the real estate transactions, whether it's lead generation or whether it's outshowing property, keep all that in your calendar so that when you get up in the morning and you're ready to start your day, you look at your calendar, you know exactly where your time's going to be spent that day. I think that's just very important.
Fantastic. Thank you. And somebody actually put in here what lead generation system. So do all of you use KV Core?
We have not made that switch. We had Commissions Inc. before we moved over, and although we would save a lot of money with KV Core, we've got 19,000 people on a database, and just those automated systems we have are just there's no way to convert them for us. So we've stayed with If I had to start over again and we have free KV Core, absolutely, I would do that.
Right, that's very ironic because we're in the same situation. When we had our private brokerage, we were with Tiger Leads, which was then purchased by Commissions Inc. And so, we were excited when EXP had both Commissions Inc. and KV Core. So we stuck with the KV or the Commissions Inc. even though we had to pay for it because we don't have that many leads, I don't think, but we had a lot of leads. And just when customers get accustomed to how they're sent the properties and with not being sure you can get them moved over properly and have the right criteria, we've stuck with it too. But we do have a lot of agents in our market that are very successful with KV Core. And I'm a mentor here, and I encourage anybody that's joining or that's new to start fresh with KV Core, and hopefully they'll be able to teach me when I need it.
Awesome. I love it. Danielle, and I see we have William in the house. So Danielle, can you go ahead and tackle your daily routines? You mentioned that you're a mom, so I'm definitely interested to hear how you're balancing work and mom life.
Yes. So in the morning, it's a little bit of crazy town. I try to get up about 30 minutes before my kids just to look at my calendar. If I have showings or anything going on that day, just making sure that they're not already pending or under contract. And then I get my kids off to school, go home. I try to do some exercise, even just like 30 minutes or something. I feel like it really changes my whole day if I don't do it versus when I do. And then I usually come to the office. I have a team of 7 now. When I started EXP, it was just me. I knew that I was going to grow a team, but now we have 7 on our team, which consists of marketing and admin as well as agents. So we usually get together once or twice a week, but then I'm also a mentor, so I'm available for my mentees and my team members. I also try to focus more on listings, so I don't really work with buyers all that much. All my business is repeat business or referrals for the most part, so I don't pay for any leads or anything of that nature. Now, again, since my kids are in private school, I have to pick them up every day by 3. So my day is pretty much done by then, but I'm always available by phone or text unless somebody wants to think that they're a member of WWE and listen to my children who are hangry for dinner. But then once the kids are in bed, I usually check emails, maybe reach out to a client if I have to. But luckily, we can pretty much do everything from our phones. So again, I just have that time with my family and my children, time blocked into my daily schedule.
That's awesome. I love how you really separated, when you need to get up early just to check your work and then go back to mom life and then go back to work and vice versa. William, thank you so much. I know that you were having trouble logging in. Do you mind? We'll kind of take a step back and just do a little bit of an introduction, what state you're in, how long you've been in business, and how long you've been with EXP. William, can you hear us? Okay, he might be having audio issues. I just messaged him to find out. So I think a lot of you guys have already touched on this, but let's maybe give some percentages and go a little bit more in depth, and we'll just go down the line here. Danielle, if you want to go first, where does your business primarily come from? Does it come from, and if it is referral based, has it always been that way, or have you had a shift in your business?
Okay, so when I first got my real estate license, I was actually recruited by the builder who built my house because I didn't use an agent and I negotiated everything myself. So I worked in the new construction world in between having my twins and staying home with them for a bit. So I worked for 3 different builders. One of them was a national builder. You guys may have heard of D.R. Horton. So I had a lot of contacts and repeat business from them. Also, my twins were a blessing in disguise because I also became a member of Twin Mom group, where I made friends and connections with a lot of other moms. So honestly, most of my business has all come from referrals. I have gotten referrals from other agents where I've paid a referral fee. However, that's the only thing that I've ever paid out. I've never paid for an ad or any sort of Zillow leads or anything like that. So yes, it's all been my sphere, past clients, and referrals from there.
Awesome. Thank you. I didn't know that you worked for DR Horton, so learn something new every day. Conda, I know that you're primarily referral based, but has it always been that way during the course of your career?
No, and that's why I try to always go back, especially with mentoring new agents, because they have to start somewhere. And I mean, I honestly think the key, no matter what type of person you are, is if you look at this business, that it's a relationship business. And if you focus on the relationship, no matter where it's coming from. So if it's a new lead, if it's a referral, if it's a repeat client, if you continue to build that relationship and pour into that relationship with how you would want to be treated, and more that they're, they're really a friend, they're not somebody that you're trying to sell real estate, or that you really care about them. And I've been doing a lot of free coaching with Rick Jiha. He offers a free Friday coach call that anybody can get on. He's actually an EXP agent. You can find him and just chat with him or something, and he'll send you a link. But his name's Rick Jiha, Geha. And during the beginning of COVID, he posted a really good idea, and I don't think it was his. I think it was one of the agents that was on his program that day. But just what it means to people, she had sent out a personal text, and it took her some time, and it took me some time. So I went down through my phone, and all of my clients that I had in my contacts, which I had most of them, I just sent them a real short, just told them I was thinking about them, if there's anything I could do, to let me know, because we're in a second home market. So if they needed somebody to check on their properties, or you guys cannot imagine the feedback I got from that. It strengthened that relationship with those people, that now when I look back at, that 99% of my business is repeat business, it's all those people that I, texted that day. And then when I'm getting a referral from those people, it's when you stay in touch with those people. So even if you have to start from scratch, from the time you start building that relationship, keep going with it. Get them in some type of a CRM. I use Top Producer, but just because I always have. I'm not saying it's the best one, but I have, 500 clients in Top Producer with mailing addresses. I stay in touch with them. I send them a couple things by mail every year. So it's just important to keep building that relationship, no matter where the lead starts from or comes from.
Awesome. And I think you hit the nail on the head. A lot of times in real estate, it's so easy to look for the shiny object. But the fact of the matter is we are in a relationship-based business. So if you show them that you're not just going after the commission check and you're truly there to add value and help walk them and assist them through the biggest transaction of their lives, they will sense that energy and continue to refer you. So perfectly well said, Conda. Mark, same question. Where does your business primarily come from now, and has it always been that way?
Right now, the number one source is repeat business, people aware of who I am, people calling me. But that's not helpful for somebody trying to figure out how to get their business started. And I suspect that most people in the room are doing that. So I want to engage the audience real quick if I can. If y'all are awake, in the chat box, I want you to put percentage number by what percent of a cold lead you think you could convert. So get 100 cold leads, how many of them can you convert? 1%, you get 25%. Somebody's really good at cold leads if they get 25%, by the way. 1%, 1%, 5%, 1%, 3%. Okay, so it's low. I think the people saying 25 are probably being ambitious. I'm going to say consistently we're probably less than 5, probably close to 1. And there are people who teach. In fact, I just went to Ricky Caruth's class And it was great. And I mean, he shows you on his website and on his social media how to cold call. And so you can do that. I never wanted to do that. I didn't want to call hundreds of people a day. I wanted to do it differently. So let me ask you this. If you get a warm referral and you're introduced to a person who's ready, willing, and able to buy or sell, and that came from someone you both mutually trust. So I know you, I work with you, they know you from church or whatever. We both know the same person. We get introduced in a real referral. It's somebody ready, willing, and able to buy. What percentage do you think you could convert and close? 100, 90, 90, 100, 60, 90. 100's ambitious because stuff happens, but I'm going to say we're pretty close. I mean, it's a big number. So here's what I did, and this is the biggest nugget I would give you of how I started my business. So I was Rookie of the Year for Keller Williams, had the #1 units out of any of the Keller Williams rookies that year. And the one thing I didn't do any advertising, didn't do any Zillow, didn't do anything really. I built a brand, so there's a perception side of this, but I also did referral generation. So when I see a for sale by owner sign in a neighborhood that I want to list, I didn't call the sign. I went to the land roll to see who owned it. And so once I figured out who owned it, I figured out through social media or Googling who we knew together. So I would see that they work at a medical clinic, and I know the medical director of that clinic. And so I would go to the medical director and say, could you make this introduction? Could you get me a referral? Could I help your friend? They're trying to sell their home. I think I could help them. And so I turned, instead of just calling hundreds of people a day, I would call like one person a day and make a referral instead of trying to do that. So year #1, 75 homes. Year #2, 150 homes. Went crazy busy and realized I needed a team from there. And so kind of changed that. So that's the one thing I did, and that's the one thing you can do as well. So.
Well, I see the text chat going. Everybody absolutely loved that. And that actually leads into my next question. Mark, you may or may not have anything to kind of elaborate on that. But my next question really is kind of piggybacking off of that, is what activities should a new agent do to get started? So just as Mark mentioned, a lot of you guys have been in business a long time. A lot of you are referral based. But if you started today knowing what you know, what activities would you recommend that you do in order to maximize on your time and kind of shorten the life of how long it takes to get started? Mark, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah,
I know
I'll
you kind of
piggyback.
answered
I
it
could
already.
talk for hours about this. This is how I built my career. So I would say just do that. You know, whether you're using a website and you find a cold lead, or whether you see a for sale by owner sign, the lead could come from any normal lead source. We all know the normal lead sources. The thing I was looking for is, how do I find the connection? Who do I know in common? And sometimes I can't figure it out. Sometimes I just can't. So I've got to revert to the cold call. Well, let's say I can't get that introduction, but I do know how to figure out who we know in common. And so even when I'm in a situation like that, I'm going to lead the conversation to that. So I might say, you know, where do you work? Well, oh, really? Do you know so-and-so? And I already know the answer. I know they know them. And so the biggest thing you can do to sell yourself is put a link together that if I trust my friend, then I trust you because they trust you. And so, and if you want to call hundreds of people, go for it. I'm all about it. But I really think most of us could build a very successful business the way I did by really focusing on figuring out how to make a connection with someone who is a lead I found on a database or whatever. Somebody that I've already identified as somebody who's looking to buy or sell.
Absolutely phenomenal. And actually, even for those of you that use KV Core, you can find potential leads even on Facebook and make a connection there very easily on friends that you have in common. So that's really, really a great nugget. Thank you, Mark. Conda, same question for new agents. I know you mentioned that you mentor agents right now. What is the #1 activity you recommend they do to get started?
You know, I tell them they just have to get out there and get involved. So this girl that I'm mentoring loves horses, and so I've told her to join, you know, horse clubs on Facebook, try to join some horse clubs that are here in our area. I know I always remember when Elizabeth Riley talks about when she moved to Texas from wherever they were from before, and she's basically started from scratch. She just started going from door to door and introducing herself. It wasn't even about real estate. It was just, hi, I'm Elizabeth Riley, and then later, I mean, when she would see them again, she would somehow work it into that she was into real estate, but it was more about building the relationship before she got into the real estate. So the new agents here, I just encourage them to get involved. This girl's fairly young, so we have a young professionals club here, to get involved with that. Any way that she can be out there meeting people. She got a part-time job at a local health shake place, so that she's really into health. So she may be able to meet some people there, but I think it just starts with figuring out ways that you can just start to build that relationship and then build your image through building those relationships.
Awesome. Yes. And we talked about work-life balance earlier. That's actually one of the ways is find something that you love that you're already doing in your life and then be able to incorporate that in your business as well. Danielle, same question. What would you recommend for brand new agents today?
I would definitely say the power of having a database. Put everybody that you know in your database. I made that mistake coming from new construction. I didn't really save all the information from all those past buyers that came into the model homes. Had I started on my database from the start, I definitely would have been in a better position than I am now. And then the other thing I would suggest is to continue to nurture and love on the people that you already have in your sphere, and don't think that you can't get business from them. Basically, I helped my hairdresser buy a house. God only knows how many realtors she may have had sit in her chair, but for whatever reason, she felt like she could trust me more than them and chose me to be her agent. I'm very faithful to getting my nails done. That's my self-care. That's my time out from my children when somebody asked earlier. So I go and get my nails done. I've helped the nail salon owner and their family buy 3 houses. Again, I'm sure there's a lot of realtors that go into their business, but they chose me. So I would just definitely say to not be afraid, to let everyone know that you are a realtor and that you can help them.
Absolutely. And William, I know you're still having audio issues, so I'm just going to check one more time. William, is your audio working? So really just to kind of piggyback off something that Danielle said is, I always jokingly say don't be a secret agent. And years ago, one of our agents came up to me and he was frustrated because one of his fitness coaches had just bought a $500,000 home, which in Oklahoma was at a higher price point. And he was frustrated because he had used another agent. So my question to him was, did he even know that you're a real estate agent? And he said, well, yes, of course. I post stuff on Facebook all the time. He should know. Well, you never want to assume somebody's going to see that information on Facebook, nor are they going to remember. So, as Danielle mentioned, she has sold them 3 properties by just being in front of them, building that relationship, and having that constant reminder that she's a real estate professional instead of just assuming that they already knew. So to my next question, we talked about new agents, but obviously you guys have been in the business a long time and have really seen what's worked, what hasn't worked. What are the top 4 traits you see in a successful agent? And Danielle, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Okay. I actually wrote these down. I feel like you have to be confident. If you aren't confident or you don't have confidence, it's definitely going to be shown and somebody may not take you as seriously. You have to be ambitious. You have to have big dreams and large goals. My goal used to be just a cap. And I'm like, why am I playing small? I can be an icon. And here I am my first year as an icon. Third, I would say commitment. You have to follow through and be committed to what you set forth to do. And the last would be inspiring. I recently rebranded myself to Inspire Realty Group. And the reason why was because at the end of the day, that's all I want to do is inspire other people, especially moms, that they can do hard things and have a career besides just being a mom, which is number one, of course.
That's a full-time job all in itself, right? Awesome. Well, I love that you said confidence. Fantastic. Conda, same question. What are the top 4 traits in your experience that you see in yourself and other successful agents?
I think just being known as the expert in your area, and not just in real estate. I mean, that's important, but you know, I get clients that call me all the time, long after they've bought a house. Where do I get my nails done? You know, what's the best place to go get the best prime rib? You know, where do you go hiking? You know, it's knowing your area and being the expert for really all things, and being the consummate professional that, you know, you handle everything in a professional manner. Kind of like I always tell people all the time, think real estate agents probably have to have the most diverse background of skills, because I feel like most of the time we're counselors. We have to be strong negotiators. And then we have to be knowledgeable just about every aspect of the business. I mean, after all, we're helping people with the largest transaction of their life. So I think we have to step back, because we sometimes are so involved in doing that every day that we don't realize how big of a deal it is. And if you treat every person with the utmost, that it has the utmost importance, because to them it is. It doesn't matter. I mean, one of the sales I had this year was a $135,000 house, and it was this girl's dream. She was from Guatemala, and she had a dream to buy and this was her first home. You know, it meant the world to her, and just guiding her through that entire process. So I think just being knowledgeable about your trade and being the best professional and the biggest expert you can possibly be.
I love that. Could not agree more. Mark, same question. Top 4 traits.
I want to use 3. You've got to be known, you've got to be liked, and you've got to be trusted. I once helped someone purchase a house that her matron of honor, at the same time, she purchased right after her wedding. Her matron of honor was a real estate agent. She didn't even know that her matron of honor was a real estate agent. So she used me, who we didn't have nearly as well of a connection. So you got to be known. You can't be secret. You got to be liked. It doesn't matter how well you're known. If you've got billboards all over town, if you're, you know, whatever, if people don't like you and connect with you, they're not going to use you. And they've got to be trusted. You know, they not only have to like you, you've got to have some confidence and some trustworthiness. So, and that's really all it takes.
Awesome. Thank you. And I love how you always go against the mold. I asked for 4 and you're going to give me 3 powerful ones instead. Somebody actually just put here in the text chat, what do you recommend for market knowledge? So do you guys have any pointers? I don't know if anybody's moved from market to market. I'm actually experiencing that myself, having just moved to Florida. Do you guys have any pointers in really becoming that known expert in your market? And I'll kind of do this as a free for all if anybody wants to chime in on that one.
So I don't have anything to give from personal experience, but I've seen some agents do it. We have some agents in our state. I've had some agents on our team. It can be done without a doubt. It's consistency. People don't care what street you grew up on. They care that you're available, that they know your name. You found a way to get that introduction, that they like you and they trust you. It may take a little more research and a little bit harder work, but it's definitely possible.
Absolutely. And I'll give you guys just a little bit of feedback from my personal experience having moved to Florida 6 months ago. One of the things that we're doing is just driving around the neighborhoods, learning the neighborhoods firsthand, going into open houses, going into models, meeting with builders to see who the players are in town. But even as Conda mentioned, just really becoming an expert of everything outside of just real estate. So learning the new restaurants, learning the fun things to do in the surrounding area. So that way you know everything as a whole, not just the real estate stats. So that's what we're doing on our free time, evenings and weekends, is just purely learning the area and trying to become that market expert.
Yeah, I think you just have to jump in there and just start exploring. You know, you have to go to the whatever the local website is. You know, we have funlake.com and lakeexpo.com, and just go through the website, see what's happening, see what events are going on, get involved in some of those events. And it's not going to be something that's going to happen overnight, but it will happen over time.
I like that. It doesn't happen overnight, but it happens over time. Which really leads me into my next question, because I'm sure you guys did not become icon agents overnight. Danielle, we'll go ahead and start with you. I know this is your first year. For the rest of you guys, we're going to talk about how do you maintain icon status. But Danielle, you mentioned, you didn't want to just be a capper. You really believed in yourself and had that confidence of striving to become an icon. So how did you go from point A to point B to become an icon agent?
So for me, I think the biggest thing was leveraging what I didn't want to do at the time, getting a runner to do signs and lock boxes to give me back time, having a transaction coordinator so that I could actually be out in front of people to gain more business. I also noticed that when you get a referral, your capping is different. So to be icon, once you cap and you have to get the $5,000, if you get a referral, you don't pay in $250 per transaction. So that was something that I noticed. So I was like, well, I have to get more of, my own business and not just referrals from other agents or whatever it may be. I actually got an account with a builder that my husband actually met. So I am his listing agent. So I've gotten a good amount of business from him. But definitely having clear, concrete goals every month to hit. And then if you fall short, ground running from 0 to 100 to reach what you need to do to get there.
I love it. I absolutely love that. That's a great point. Conda and Mark, I think Conda, if I'm not mistaken, you just got your 4th icon. How have you maintained that every single year?
That's a good question. And it just continues to grow. I mean, just last year, my husband sold his construction company and started to help me just because the business continued to grow. I think it's because I've just continued to strive on maintaining those relationships. And, after years and years and years, those relationships grow in number. And so there's only one of you. So he actually sold his construction company and does real estate full-time with me now, which is perfect because we kind of divide and conquer, and we have different strengths. So, mine is more in the negotiation and the market knowledge, and he's very good at showing property. He's a native of our area, so I send him out to go show the properties, and then I send him out to do all the inspection items and go over inspections with the buyers. So, we've been able to really maintain and then even elevate during this time. But that's, another person involved too. So I think just continuing to stay focused, know what your business is and know where it comes from. I learned that in a marketing class, I think in high school, that, it's really important to know where to spend your marketing dollars. And so if you do a spreadsheet and just put out to the side what the source of each one of your sales was from, then when you have budget, when you come up with how much you want to spend that year, divide the percentages according to where your business came from, because where you're getting your business is where you need to spend your money. So 99% of my marketing budget gets spent on client relations. So I have client events, I have it's been hard now with COVID, but in the past I've had client events at my house, on my dock, at a local restaurant. I send out a Reminder Media magazine every year, which is awesome because they brand it toward you. It's an awesome way for your clients to know that you're thinking about them and to keep your name in front of them. So I think you just have to keep, once you have your style, you just have to keep doing it.
Awesome. And Mark, you just mentioned being with the company 3 years, so I know you've definitely gotten icon 2, if not 3 times. How have you maintained icon status through your time with EXP?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we've hit icon 3 times. And to be real honest, I mean, we hit it in a few months, so it's well within our production. But I want to answer this a little bit different way. I've got 2 agents in our state that I was able to help coach. They both came just a few transactions away from hitting icon last year. And it really just had to kind of open their eyes to how the system works and just to use the system. When you're 2 transactions away, you rewind the clock and think of what were those small transactions that the amount received from it in itself wasn't that appealing, but the unit, which gave me that extra $250 toward my post-cap dollars, would have given me $16,000. So, we walk away from a small commission and realize we're 1 transaction away. So for some agents, it's really just understanding how it works and maybe restructuring their business and the purpose and the type of business they'll take if they're close. Now, if we're not close and it's not about the system, it's going back to lead generation and going back to figuring out how to build a big business.
Right. One consistency I'm hearing to you guys is really systems. So if you guys write this down, they keep talking about systems, and it's really important to track where your business is coming from. Mark, we'll go ahead and start with you. Do you have a favorite book, a coach, or a mentor, somebody that you follow that has really guided you throughout your career?
Best book I ever read is somewhat obscure, and it's not a real estate book. It's The Fall of Advertising and the Rise of PR. Produced, I think it was published in 2004. I was in graduate school at the time when I read it. It was a very eye-opening book to understand how public relations and advertising work in conjunction with each other. And it's really the basis of how I built my name and brand as a new agent. So I also have to recommend Julie Nelson's book. She's one of our agents. I think she hosted yesterday or today. She hosted a lot. I really like her book just because she put me in it. It's Success Faster, On Fire Hot. So go to Amazon and get it. Julie's awesome. And then coach, there's a lot of great coaches. We have a lot in EXP. I will tell you one of the things I had early on in my business is I took one of my clients who did professional coaching in a completely different industry and enlisted him as a coach to help me think about and navigate. And one of the really good things I liked about him was that he wasn't just regurgitating, stuff he read, from his brokerage that just gets kind of passed on and really sometimes ideas that were produced in a completely different market, pre-Zillow, pre-internet, whatever. And so for him to think about it as the client and think about helping me as the agent was a huge part of my business early on. He's not my coach anymore, but he was the most impactful person in my life, and he's never sold a piece of real estate. Well, he's never been an agent. He sold real estate.
That's awesome. And Mark, if you don't mind, if you'll put those 2 books in the text chat. I saw a couple of people were asking. Conda, same question. Favorite book, coach, or mentor?
Probably one of my favorite books that I read recently, and it just taught me kind of a whole different part of my life that I hadn't really ever focused on, but I do think is truly important. It's A Mindful Day by Laura Cameron, and I'll put that in the chat box. But it just taught you to be mindful and grateful every day, because we can all wake up and feel like we're in a grind of, be the person that you were yesterday, and you do the same things, and you get up on the same side of the bed, and you have your coffee, and you take your shower, and you work out, and and if you plan for the future you want to have, you can create that new future rather than be a repeat of your past. So Laura Cameron, her book just taught you to be mindful. And, when I read it, I was actually on an airplane to go on vacation, and I'd been to this place several times, but once I got there, I noticed things that, even though I'd been on these same paths and walked on the same beach and rode my bike through the same park, this time after I read the book, I noticed the birds chirping, I noticed the smells, I noticed the feel on my feet. It really teaches you to be mindful and grateful, and not get wrapped up in the small details. So that's just one of my favorite books that really had an impact on me. I just try to follow role models. I mean, honestly, a role model that I follow now is you, Micah, because I just think you guys have such a well-rounded, your family, you're always willing to help. You set the utmost example for all of us. I love Rick Jiha because I love the fact that he has his free coaching call for agents, and he offers some really great ideas and gets some really good speakers on there, and he records them, and then you can go back and listen to them later. So I've never really had a coach, but I do attend his sessions quite often.
Thank you so much. And you have me blushing over here. I learned so much from each and every one of you. And I think this is really a true testament to EXP and the collaboration that we have. I mean, all of you guys are just mentioning different agents throughout the company, and would just have such a phenomenal opportunity. Danielle, same question. Favorite book, coach, or mentor? I know Mr. Rubin is in your market, so I don't know if he's in the audience here, but who have you really followed, and what's your favorite book? And then Conda, if you don't mind putting those books in the chat. Oh, you already did. You beat me to it.
Yes, so I would definitely say my sponsor, Ruben Garcia. He has been phenomenal. I basically only joined Keller Williams because he was the team leader at the time. Then he became their productivity coach, and I was one of his first coaching clients, and I was the third one in the group to cap that year, again, with only working 2 days. He definitely said that if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. He really showed me a lot about the power of your calendar. And as far as the book, I would definitely say The One Thing. I just recently read it again when I flew to Boston to visit my family, and your one thing can always change. What you might be focusing on this month may be different from this month next year. So I think just kind of getting your priorities and your thing that you really want to focus on. That book was really life-changing too. And you, Micah. I love you, Micah.
You guys are just making me blush over here. I don't have my avatar. My cheeks red. Thank you so much. And if you guys haven't followed Ruben, I follow him on Facebook and Instagram as well. He's absolutely phenomenal. He gets up much earlier than I do. He makes me a little jealous. But so actually, just to kind of piggyback off that, Danielle, you talked about the one thing. What is somebody asked before we got started in the session here, what is the number one thing that you have noticed in your career to go from good to great? I don't know if you guys want to share your production numbers, feel free to go ahead, but what is the number one thing that you've seen to kind of excel to that next level? And Danielle, if you want to answer that first.
Okay, I wasn't sure who was going first. I would definitely say leverage. I am a high DC personality. If you know what it is, then you know me. So I really like to have my hand kind of in everything, but it's impossible to really do everything and be a wife and a mother of 4 kids, and maintain success. So leveraging was probably the thing that I did to go from good to great. I've probably tripled my production as far as numbers go from last year and this year.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Conda, same question. Number one thing that you did in your business to go from good to great. Mark, I'm sure you're going to have two. I'm messing with you. But Conda, what's your number one thing?
I mean, you're probably tired of hearing it, but the number one thing, I just always focus on how to show the client that they really do matter. And that can be, wishing them happy birthday on Facebook, or giving them a call, or taking them to lunch. In the magazine I sent out, I give a free tear out card that says, let's catch up, let's go to lunch. We don't even have to talk real estate. If you want to, we can, but let's just go, catch up. So I think, just really letting them know that you do care about them. They're not just a transaction to you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Mark, your number one thing to go from good to great.
I've got one. Thank you very much.
I knew you were going to do that.
It was leverage. I got to the point second year in when I had a lot of sales. I think there was once I had 26 pending as a solo agent. And I was beginning to disappoint people. I was beginning to forget to call back or forget to do this or that. And it was that point that I really think there was a crossroads that if I didn't hire leverage, if I didn't build a team, and I still tried to maintain that level of production, I would have built a reputation as being the agent who let down their clients. So by spending the money and investing the time and training and all the other things it takes to build a team, was able to build a good reputation, and came with cost of employees and whatever, and all the things that happen when you build and grow a team. But that was a pivotal moment for me, realizing that I had to invest in myself and leverage myself beyond what I could do, and frankly have people do things that I hated to do, or the things that I wasn't good at.
Absolutely. And Mark, I have to say, I'm giving you a little bit of a hard time, but I have personally witnessed how you run the state of Mississippi, your team and your office. And I always tell people you run it as smooth as butter. I mean, it's just absolutely phenomenal how you juggle both pretty heavy positions, and you do it at ease. So I've always been quite impressed by that. Actually, if somebody wants to take on, if one of you just want to jump in, and we talked about leverage, but somebody put in the text chat here, at what point did you leverage a transaction coordinator? If anybody just wants to jump in real quick.
Mine was about 2 years in.
Oh, sorry.
And I was about a year too late.
Yeah, I actually did it early on, and didn't really know I was doing a good thing, but had an assistant whenever we were had our private brokerage, and just decided that I needed that person to do the transaction items. And she is licensed, so she's now been with us for 15 years. I mean, she's actually just a part of the family. She's licensed. She can do overflow if we need to. She can run and show a house, put a lockbox on. I mean, without her, we wouldn't do, we'll do 40 million this year. We typically do 20 to 25. We couldn't even think about doing it if she wasn't part of the picture. So, one thing I've struggled with this year is I want to be good at things I'm not good at. So I really want to be able to do video, have that consistent image on YouTube, and even do some of my own videos, as I'm listing new properties. And it takes up so much of my time to try, because I'm just not technologically advanced at all. So I just struggle with it. So I'm just going to have to accept the fact that that's something that I just am not going to be able to do. I don't have time to do that.
40 million. Wow. I don't know if you guys caught that, but that is absolutely amazing. And many of you are asking, at what point do you hire a transaction coordinator? I mean, the saying is always said, when you feel you need one, you probably needed one yesterday. So, I think Mark mentioned he hired his a year later. You don't want to wait till you're at that threshold, because then it's going to be a lot harder to find the right hire. Katie Rose, I see you on the screen here again. That's awesome. So my last question here, and we'll open it up for a couple of minutes for Q&A, but what ultimately attracted you guys to EXP? You guys have done extremely well, with your previous companies. You guys are all rock stars. What made you make the switch to EXP? And Danielle, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Great. I just loved that it's virtual, that, all the training and all the classes are virtual. I think that's just an amazing concept, and I wish I had known about it sooner, because that's the hardest thing when you are a mom of small children, or you want to only do real estate part-time, is not being able to go to whatever firm you're at's classes. So EXP just takes that from 0 to 100, and it's just phenomenal. But the other big highlight was the stocks. It's something that my husband's grandfather has been trying to get me to do until he was blue in the face, and he's 97, and now he's so proud of me to have that other stream of income from the stocks. So those two things were the biggest reasons for me to join EXP, and I'm never going anywhere now.
That's awesome. Love to hear it. Conda, same question. What attracted you to EXP? For those of you that don't know, Conda was in a partnership, and they owned their own very high performing independent brokerage. So I know that was not an easy decision or transition.
Right. It really wasn't. And, one of my partners, Ryan, who is very involved at the state level, he knew Jason Gessing and had talked with him at one of the national conferences, and came back and said, hey, there's this new, and he was always the new idea guy, which I have to give him credit, because everything he ever brought that was a new idea has worked out. He brought Tiger Leads, and then he brought EXP. And he said, you're the number cruncher. He said, I really think we should look at this, because we were struggling as an independent brokerage to keep up with technology and be able to offer our agents, we're competing with them moving to Remax, which had, higher splits, and then moving to KW, because they could go to 100%, and we couldn't afford to do that being a private brokerage, and continue to try to offer them the programs that they would need to run, and then operate a bricks and mortar office also. So we looked at the numbers, and I told him, I said, if everything that they're saying they will do, they do, we'd be crazy not to move. And so, we did, but at the time, I think there was, Micah, you probably know, but I think there was maybe 1,300 agents when we came. It was April of 2017. And, it was a penny stock. And so people were joking with us, and, we would try to attract other people, and they're like, oh, it's not going to go anywhere. And we still have trouble with attraction, which is frustrating, because it has been everything that I thought it would be and more. I mean, my first Icon Award in 2017, I was given it on November 9th. It was put in my account on November 9th of 2017. So it vested Monday, and it's worth over $100,000. And they basically gave that back to me in company stock. Now, when they gave it to me, it was $6 a share. And so I thought, oh, that's no big deal. It's just this much money. I don't know. It was like, I don't know what it was. But I just thought it's not a big deal. But they gave it to me. So why would I complain about that? So, I mean, EXP has been everything that I could ever imagine. They have the best technology. You don't have to worry about it, because they're working on it for 38,000 agents. So, instead of me working on it for 12 agents in our office. So it just, if any of you have independent brokerages that you're trying to attract, and they want to talk to somebody that was an independent broker owner, I reach out to me anytime. I would be happy to talk to anybody that you're trying to attract, and tell them the pros and the cons there's really not any cons, but I would be happy to talk with anybody.
Wow, did you guys hear that her first year icon has now vested and it's over $100,000? That's incredible. Mark, you're probably in the same boat. But what ultimately attracted you to EXP? I know that you were, I believe, #1 at Keller Williams and probably the top performing team in the state.
So on April Fool's Day, I got a call from a crazy agent in Oklahoma who says she has something great to tell me. And I told her it better be a pot of gold because I've got a limited time to hear you out. So give me what you got. And I heard it out. It made sense. I looked at the model and compared it to the model that our team currently had. And the math turned out to $132,000 that we would have saved. That has nothing to do with stock, nothing to do with rev share, just on the splits and caps. So yeah, we were the top team at the top brokerage, and ironically, not being recruited a whole lot. I mean, brokers in town would just at events or things kind of passively and somewhat annoyingly, when are you going to come join us or whatever. And the reality is I actually knew, because a lot of agents from my former company were coming to EXP. I knew a lot of EXP agents, but nobody had really reached out. So I know it's not really an attraction talk, but just be bold. Just introduce the plan to people. We were already in the back of my mind coming up on our vesting period with Keller Williams and thinking of an exit. But what I was thinking of was going independent. We had 3.5% of the market, our team did. And so we were thinking, why not just be a brokerage? I think at the time we would have been like the 4th or 5th largest brokerage just by branching out and becoming ourselves. And so model made sense. It made perfect sense for me. It was financially irresponsible. I knew that me personally, I could probably make more money by going independent. Of course, I've seen a lot of independent people come to EXP and say that's not true. But that's what I thought at the time. But I looked at my team and I realized there's no way I could provide the training they'll get at this company. There's no way I could replicate the systems they'll get at this company, and the financials just make perfect sense. So.
Awesome.
And yes, we got some of that stock
so
too that's starting to vest because we came 3 years ago and it's really awesome.
Yeah. And Mark, it's funny. You actually just reminded me. I completely forgot that was on April Fool's Day. So that surprise. Well, awesome. I know we're a few minutes over. Panelist, I understand if you need to go, but I do want to open it up for questions. Maybe just a couple questions real quick. And then we'll please address who you're asking the question just for the sake of time. So I want to thank everybody. This has been absolutely phenomenal, but I'm going to go ahead and just close my mic and open it up for a couple questions.
Hey, Mark, this one's for you. I wanted to know when you went from solo agent to transaction to a team, what did that look like? Because I'm pretty much at that same point where my service is starting to get less because I'm getting overwhelmed, but I need help. I want to hire people. So what did that look like for you?
I believe the first step was convincing my wife to quit teaching and to get a real estate license. And she came kicking and screaming and finally did it. So she was there to help administratively, mostly, kind of worked from the house. I didn't have an office at the time. And the second step, and it might have, I don't know, it really might have been about the same time. I honestly can't remember which came first. I was coaching a rookie agent who was terrible at organization and all of his listings were getting frustrated. And he was awesome at selling and connecting and building rapport. And I'm really good at the organization, and I'm probably decent at the connecting and building rapport. And so I just kind of pitched him and said, why don't I take these listings and I'll feed you buyers. I guarantee you that you'll make more with this path. And we laid out a team plan. And then it went from there, bringing on different team members and things. But that was the first step.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I didn't realize there was a breakout right after us. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I hope it's safe that I speak for everyone here. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. I believe this session is also being recorded. And I just want to thank everybody for your time. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Conda. Thank you, Danielle. I know William was having audio issues, but I appreciate everyone's time and could not be more excited. And I am certainly eXp Realty proud.
Thank you, Micah.
Thanks, Micah.
Thanks for including me, Micah.